What is up, baseball fans? I am Jason Burgos for Sportsnaut.com, and I have the unique pleasure of being joined by a man that is trying to bring America's longest running professional sport to the Middle East and South Asia in the form of the new league, Baseball United. And that man I speak of is the league's president, CEO, chairman of the board, Kash Shaikh, Senor Shaikh. Thanks so much for the time today.
Thank you, brother Jason. Great to see you. Love everything that you're doing and appreciate all the great content you're putting out. And man, we are grinding here. It's 5 p.m. in Dubai. We got here at 6 a.m. We got another 6 hours to go tonight. We're in the home stretch of trying to make history.
Yeah, I mean, and the grind is and the hard work into making history and doing something special. It's legit, and what you guys are doing is really fascinating, interesting, and that's why I want to talk to you. So, got a ton of questions. So, let's
Awesome.
get right into it. I come from like an MMA reporting background, and for example, like One Championship has a similar strategy of trying to promote fight sports to
Yep.
the billions in Asia. However, like martial arts is kind of just embedded in the culture in that part of the world. I know there's a big cricket market in the region, but baseball's still pretty different from that sport. What do you see in the data, in your marketing experience that you have a ton of, that tells you, yes, this is something that can really catch on in that part of the world?
Well, first of all, you're exactly right. I mean, One Championship is a case study that I've looked at for many, many years as a great example of almost a sister property that formed after being inspired by an American brand, but then seeing a market opportunity that fit in the Asian world. And actually, I've done a lot of work with One in my previous career with my previous agency. But you're exactly the other point that you're right on, Jason, is that martial arts is so ingrained into the Asian culture. That wasn't as much of a leap because there wasn't as much education that was necessary on introducing the sport. They had to introduce the league and the concept and some of the fighters, and they created great stories on the fighters. For us, we are sitting within the bat and ball epicenter of the universe. The Middle East and South Asia has 2 billion people. 1 billion of them are cricket fans. So people know how to hit a ball, catch a ball, throw a ball, run back and forth from point A to point B. So they know those basic fundamentals, but man, we got so much education to do within the broader region about the game. And when we started this journey almost 2 years ago, we were focused on how could we inspire and how could we educate these cricket fans to fall in love with the game of baseball. What has been amazing, particularly over the last year, when we've been in the market, been here in Dubai, been out in Pakistan, been in India, done a lot of market research, met people face to face, we found out there's a ton more baseball fans here in this region than we ever imagined. In Dubai alone, there's 450,000 baseball fans. In the UAE, there's about 800,000 baseball fans in the UAE in a country of only 10 million people. So you've got a lot of baseball fans that have been waiting for an opportunity to experience the sport that they love. So that's one of the reasons why we feel really excited about what we're building. We also, as you know, put together what we believe is the highest pedigree of ownership group in all of professional sports. And we've got 15 legends of the game from MLB, as you know, they've come as investors, co-owners that are helping us build and share this league. And that's got people in this region really, really excited because they know the caliber of a person, a player that's bringing Baseball United to this part of the world. But all that said, man, I mean, on a 1 to 10 difficulty level, this one's a 47 for us. I was just freaking out because I was looking at our team, our sales. We've got a board of our ticket sales in the front of our office. And I'm like, holy shit, guys, we got it. This is not moving as fast as we need it to move. And what I'm realizing is that this market, it's different than what we're used to back home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you? Where are you based?
I'm in New York.
Okay, so I mean, New York is like one of the sports meccas of the world.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got the Madison Square Garden, you got Yankee Stadium, you got all this stuff where people are used to. We're used to people going in droves to sporting events, but out here, man, it's not necessarily like that. Like people don't necessarily go to sporting events in the masses. Even the cricket matches that occur here in Dubai, the leagues that are here, you might have a few hundred people, maybe a couple thousand people at a game.
Wow.
So it's a pretty massive lift for us to even fill the bottom bowl of the stadium. So the stadium we're in is 25,000 people. The
Wow.
lower level holds about 9,000. So just to get that lower level fill will be like a monumental, you know, undertaking for us. Our goal is to get about 5,000 people in the stadium. We'll set a lot of records out here. But we're behind as of this morning. So I'm like, oh shit, so it's going to be literally for the next 2.5 weeks pushing as much as we can. People are excited and people are inspired by what we're doing. But now we got to get them to buy some tickets and come out to the ballpark.
Now you mentioned the names that are involved in various levels on the league, and I think that that's something maybe for people that are discovering the brand for the first time may not realize. You have at least a part of the executive team: Barry Larkin, Mariano Rivera, who's everybody here in New York knows, Adrian Beltre, Felix Hernandez. How did you get them to be a part of this unique endeavor? Like, what are their various levels? Especially if I didn't mention anybody else that's really important. Are they brand ambassadors, like you mentioned? Are there ownerships? And what is part of their participation kind of bring in the North American fans that may know them, that hey, oh, this is another place to look at baseball with names that I know. And also, are they gonna, do you feel confidence in them to be able to spread the brand to new fans because of their legend?
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, you mentioned a lot of them, and every single person you mentioned is a co-owner investor into the league. Actually, today, both Mariano Rivera and Albert Pujols just got to Dubai because we're doing events and speaking engagements all week. So Albert literally just left our office. So it's pretty special to have like literally two of the best players that have
Yeah.
ever played the game
Yep.
here. It's almost surreal, like, and I told our team, I was like, guys, you're getting spoiled because you don't treat this like a normal thing when you have La Máquina come into the office and you got the Sandman come into the office. Like you gotta, that's almost a fantasy experience, right? And all of those guys have put their heart and soul, their own name, their own brands, and their own dollars into this league because they saw the opportunity to enable number one players to expand, extend, and evolve their careers, another platform to help grow the game because the MLB system has contracted in a significant way over the last few years. They cut the draft in half, they cut the minor leagues in half. So you've got a lot of guys that used to have opportunities that would have had opportunities to play at the big league level that don't anymore.
Yeah.
Now we have an opportunity with Baseball United to offer that. Plus, we get to expand the game to a part of the world that's yet to really learn the game and benefit and enjoy the game. And every single one of our MLB investors, they're so passionate about growing the game, teaching the game, helping young people fall in love with the game. Like I said, we got 15 guys that we've announced. We've got a few more that we're going to announce before even our showcase, which is pretty exciting from a Yankees fan. I mean, obviously, we've got Mariano, we got Nick Swisher, who's like a ball of energy every time you see him. Swish is actually going to be the analyst on our broadcast. He's going to be
Okay.
being the color commentator, which is pretty cool. We got Robbie Cano. Robbie Cano is another, Yankees star, 8-time All-Star Robbie Cano. We got Didi Gregorius, who was a first-round draft pick, as you know from our draft. And we got potentially one other Yankees player that fans are going to be excited about that we'll announce soon as a co-owner, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, the amount of people we saw, I mean, Big Poppy was talking about the league just last week. I mean, we got so many guys in the baseball world that are excited about what we're doing and the opportunity that we have from a business standpoint, from a baseball standpoint, and most of all from a community standpoint and a cultural standpoint for us to bring America's pastime to this part of the world for the first time is pretty special.
And I'm glad you went in that direction of bringing this to this part of the world, because American culture can sometimes not be as well received in parts of Middle East, parts of Asia, and baseball is as American as it gets. And
Yeah.
is there a fear beyond, like you mentioned, that which is huge, that there are already baseball fans there? Beyond those fans, though, because you want to expand, you want to bring in, sell more tickets. Is there any
Right.
issues, fears about maybe pushback to promote such an American concept, or is the plan to push it in places that, look, we know there's something strong there, and it's not as much of an apprehension about it, more strategic, because there is some issues with the culture out there.
Yeah, it's a great question, Jason. I mean, I would tell you, um, you up until the last month or so, um, there hasn't been an issue because
Hmm.
there was just this gravitational pull of Americana in the region.
Mm.
If you look at what's happened in the region over the last 3 years,
Yeah.
um, in a lot of respects, this region, the Middle East, particularly the Arabian Peninsula, which is
Yeah.
called the GCC, that's transformed more in the last 2 years than the previous 200.
Yeah.
I mean, the way Saudi Arabia has totally shifted not just their approach to sports, but their culture, the laws, the regulations has been really amazing. The UAE is always, Dubai has always been one of the most diverse and welcoming cities on the planet. And everybody kind of has that aspiration, inspiration of America, Americana. So when we started coming out here 2 years ago, we talked about the opportunity to bring a bit of Americana out here, how we could leverage a concept called baseball diplomacy that we invented, where we could bring America's pastime to help unite the region, because there's typically been a lot of conflict in the region
Yeah.
with Saudi and the UAE, or Qatar and the UAE, obviously India versus Pakistan. So when we went to all these governing bodies, we went to embassies, we went to consulates, we said, let's take an American sport that no one in the region can claim, but everybody is inspired by, and use that to help bring these people together under a broader value of unity that's executed through Baseball United. And you know better than anybody that one of the things that brings people together better than anything is sport.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see it at whether it's the Olympics, the World Cup, there's an awesome opportunity to bring people together. So that's actually been one of our core rallying cries for the last 2 years. The past month, with what's happening in the Middle East, with Israel, Palestine, the war, now things are getting a little bit more, um, there's more intensity around the different factions, different points of view, and different politics, and obviously there's a humanitarian crisis involved. So um, it's a tough time right now, to be honest with you, in the
Yeah.
region because you got so much going on. Obviously our hearts go out to everyone and all the victims that are experiencing the humanitarian crisis that's happening across the other side of the peninsula.
Yeah.
We're safe and sound over here in Dubai and the UAE, but it has caused a bit of a cloud over the region, which is unfortunate. And so for us, I mean, we changed our format. Originally, when we were going to do our showcase, it was going to be all about the rivalries, India versus Pakistan, and Dubai versus
Okay.
Abu Dhabi.
Right.
But actually, within the last month, with the war, we actually shifted our format to instead have these all-star teams that have united across their chest and really try to promote the spirit of unity.
Right.
Because thinking back even where you're from 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago with 9/11, you saw
Yeah.
what baseball did for our country back home.
Yep.
We're hoping in a tiny way that we can, through the game of baseball, through this anthem of unity, bring people together a bit out here at a time where there's a lot of people feeling a lot of different things.
Now you mentioned a bit about like the players that will be involved in the league, and that was the headline grabbing thing that we covered it on Sportsnaut too. Is that some of the familiar names that were drafted to the team so far? You mentioned Robinson Cano, Didi Gregorius, one of my personal favorites of all time, Bartolo Colon. Talk to me about like the process for getting those players like to join the league. Did it take some time to, like Bartolo, we're doing a league in Dubai. Is there like, wait, a baseball in Dubai? What are you talking about? Like, was there any resistance? Was it easier than you thought? And not just maybe for the players that are drafted, but even like for some of the owners, was there a little bit of persuasion that had to be and explaining in the pitch for this league to make it
Yeah.
make sense? These people that are just so used to baseball being in the Western Hemisphere.
Well, I'll tell you, Bartolo Colon sends me a text every day for the last month of him on a treadmill, him getting
Oh.
his laps in. So he's taking this seriously. Bartolo is actually going to be the starting pitcher for the East team on opening night. So literally, it's going to be amazing to see 50-year-old Bartolo Colon on the bump. He set so much records, the winningest Dominican pitcher of history. So many amazing things he's done. Now he's got another milestone to his career. He's pitching the first ever game in the history of the Middle East and South Asia. So I'm so pumped from Bartolo. I told him I got enough. He's sent me enough proof. I know that he's gonna be in the best shape he's been in a long time for the games out here, which is pretty cool. But when we started this journey, as you know, we started with I've had a relationship with Barry Larkin for some time now, and that's one of my closest friends, and we've been talking about how we can expand and grow the game internationally for a while. We connected with one of my other brothers, John Medrick, who's our vice chairman and executive VP of baseball ops. John is a white boy from New York City. He was an NYPD cop for 20 years, but
Wow.
he spent the last 10 years as the head of international operations for the counterterrorism unit that was based in the Middle East.
Okay.
So John had a ton of relationships with government leaders and officials that we needed to meet with in order to bring our
Ah,
league over here. Because anything you do here, as you know, you got to be really locked in with the government. So
yeah.
John was a huge, huge enabler for us and was able to get myself and our team in front of the right people to spend the last 2 years closing all the deals that we need to. And as you may have seen, we signed a 15-year deal with the UAE government to do professional baseball, which was historic. It's never been given to anyone before. So a huge, huge blessing, huge, huge milestone. But John is actually married to a Dominican woman, and John's super passionate about baseball. So John started spending a lot of time down in the DR. And then he actually, with his brother and a couple of other partners, they created a baseball academy in the DR, and through their academy work got connected with none other than Mariano
Mm.
Rivera. Now Mariano was from Panama, as you know,
Yeah.
but they got connected doing some work in the DR, and then John brought Mariano to meet with me and Lark in the early days, and the four of us, as well as John's brother, created Baseball United. Then when we went to go out and said we want to bring on our first investment group, we want to be professional baseball players from Major League Baseball that actually not only bring credibility to the league, but also bring their expertise, bring their passion, bring a lot of intangibles that give opportunities to guys that typically could not be at the ownership level or have not been. People from Black and brown communities, people from diverse backgrounds, et cetera. And the first person that we went out to after that was Adrian Beltre.
Mm.
And and Adrian, obviously not only one of the best third basemen of all time, but one of the most respected guys of this generation, of his generation, as a clubhouse leader, as a business person, just as a human. So we really were intentional about making sure the guys we bring on are high character guys that got great, pedigree resumes, respect in the clubhouse. And Beltre was the top of our list. So and trying to close Beltre was probably one of the hardest sales that I personally had. I mean, I had because that dude is like, I mean, he's an amazing guy now that I know him, but he was like full poker face, no smile, no emotion during the meetings. I pitched him like my heart out the first couple times, and he was just like, no movement, no facial expression. But he was like, all right, let's meet again. I ended up pitching Beltre 6 times by myself. And then finally he said, okay, I want you to talk to my team. Of course, Adrian Beltre, he has an amazing financial team, advisory team, legal team. They put us through the gauntlet. I mean, we had to go through so much diligence, so many documents, so much back and forth. But after a few months, we closed Beltre. And then honestly, once we closed Beltray, then dominoes started to fall. Then we got Elvis Andrews on board, who played with Adrian with the Rangers when they went to the World Series. Back before they won this past year, back in 2010 and 2011, he played in the infield with them. We got Elvis. Then we got Felix Hernandez, who played with Adrian in Seattle.
Ah.
And Adrian, was a great enabler of that. Once we got Felix, then the momentum started to really, come to life for us. We launched our franchises. We were starting to kind of grow on social media. We've gotten good PR. Then Nick Swisher started blowing me up, saying, blowing up my DMs, saying, I just want to be a part of it, whatever I got to do, which was awesome because he's just a great guy with so much passion. Then we brought on Nick. Nick is part of the CAP program, the Commissioner's Ambassador program, Major League Baseball. Ryan Howard is part of the CAP program as well. So once we got Nick, then we got Ryan Howard on board. Somewhere in between there, we got Albert Pujols on board. And then it was just kind of a snowball. We got Robbie Cano. Then from Robinson Cano, we got Bartolo Colon, Robinson Chirinos. We got Matt Barnes. We got Shane Victorino. We got Hanley Ramirez. So it really, and now we got so many guys calling us to be a part of it, which is pretty exciting. But like, if I had to pick one that was obviously Mariano and Lark starting it was huge, but getting Beltray to come on board was a
Yeah.
huge milestone for the league because I think that's what really propelled us to be able to get everybody else.
I just have three questions left now. How is like the league being funded and like the players being paid? Are you footing the bill on a lot of this? Is it much about outside investment? Going back to one championship, which is a major thing for them. Like you mentioned, some of the players are owners, stuff like that. Are some of these players also? That's part of why they're so invested and dedicated, is because they do have their actual money. Like, what's the funding for this league and the players? What's the background for that?
Yeah, man, I'm a majority owner, and have obviously put in the most from an investment standpoint. But every single player has put in their hard. All the owners that we mentioned, these guys, these 14, 15 guys, have put in their own hard-earned money into this.
Wow.
So right now, we're a U.S. based company. We're a Delaware based corporation. Um, we opened our subsidiary here in the UAE, but we're 100% funded by entrepreneurs from America and Major League Baseball alumni and veterans
Wow.
uh, that have been a part of the league. Obviously, our goal is to expand our investor network. We believe there's capital for us to be able to tap into out here. I've been everywhere in the region meeting with the biggest venture capital funds, royal families. I met with the Public Investment Fund in Riyadh, which, as you know, was the ones that bought
Yeah.
the PGA Tour.
Yep.
They funded the fights, whether it's UFC or Francis Ngannou's fight last week.
Yep.
I met with QIA, which is the investment fund for the royal family of Qatar. They're the ones that put on the World Cup. I met with Mubadala, which is the investment fund for the royal family from Abu Dhabi. So we've met with everybody. Everybody knows we're out here. And honestly, man, this showcase that we're doing November 24th and 25th is so important for us because it's really a proof of concept. It's an
Yeah.
opportunity for us to show people they've heard of baseball. They've seen us talk about it for 2 years. They've seen it on slides. Now we got to go put on this epic experience that obviously there's a great product on the field, but also the fans are enjoying it. The stadium is full of energy. They get to see some of that Americana. I mean, they don't sell hot dogs and popcorn and Cracker Jack in the stadiums here. We're going to be doing that. So it's a whole experience. We're going to have national anthems singing. Got the U.S. national anthem, which is going to, give you goosebumps when you hear it out here in this part of the world. So we have to put on a great show. And then after that, we will be doing our next round of funding where we hope to tap into some great partners that are out here as well.
Well, are before I get to that, are there any plans to try and promote the league specifically in the Western Hemisphere to the fans that know it, in the Caribbean, in North America, and stuff like that? Like, and are you eyeing possibly any broadcast partnerships, be it with networks, being with streaming services, kind of just going with your own app so fans can see the product that way? Or are there plans for anything to let like embedded baseball fans on this side of the world know about this new league with big names involved?
Yeah, another great question, man. Well, first of all, I mean, really what we've seen is the majority of baseball fans, true baseball fans, everywhere on the planet, they know about Baseball United right now, which we feel really grateful about. People know that there's this league that's being built by these great legends that's coming to Dubai to play the game, which is exciting. We're about to announce two really exciting broadcast partnership deals that are going to enable everyone in the United States to watch the games that showcase, and then beyond that, Canada, Mexico, France, Spain, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Japan, obviously everywhere here in the region, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. I mean, truly almost a World Series level of international footprint,
Mm,
which is pretty crazy because if you think about a regular, MLB regular season game, most of the franchises, maybe the Yankees are a bit different, but most of the other franchises, the only time you see it in your local market, maybe if you subscribe to the MLB
yeah,
network, then you can see all of them. But you're not seeing internationally, you're not watching the Cincinnati Reds, you're not watching
yeah,
the Angels. For us now, we're going to have truly global audience watching this, which is pretty crazy. For perspective, a regular season game uses a six-camera setup with a couple of roving cameras from a production quality standpoint, right? Obviously, World Series All-Star games are a bit more, but I'm talking about
yeah.
an MLB regular season game. We have 13 cameras and three roving cameras for our setup. We're going to have Nick Swisher, like I said, on the mic. We're going to have cricket legends on the mic. We have
Mm,
Albert Pujols on the mic as part of the commentary and production crew. So we're putting on like a legitimate international production, and I'm super excited that people are going to be able to see it in the US as well. And just one thing, Jason, just to kind of circle back, I mean, one of the reasons everybody's really excited about it is because, as you mentioned, the players that are going to be playing on the field. We just had our draft a few weeks ago. I mean, the of the 32 top picks, 29 of the guys played at the big league level.
hmm,
Almost half of the entire draft played at the Major League Baseball level. 75% of the guys drafted by Baseball United were originally drafted by a big league team. So when you think about the quality of players, I mean, you got former All Stars, you got Gold Glovers, Anderson Simmons, 4 Gold Gloves. We talked about Bartolo Colon and Robbie Cano. Didi Gregorius is only 32 years old.
yeah,
33 years old. I mean, he's like one of those guys that back in the day, there's no reason he wouldn't be in the league. But because of the contraction, because of the evolution of how contracts are being doled out in the big leagues, you've got guys like Didi, the shortstop after Jeter, the guys that had multiple 20 home run seasons that's not in the big leagues that can still really play. So what I'm really excited about, if you take the All-Star teams, the East All-Star team, the West All-Star team, those teams could compete against a big league team
yeah.
and that would be exciting. So that might be a cool thing to do one day. Take all our all-star team, have them come play the Rangers, have them come play the Yankees, and that's one of the things we've talked with MLB about.
Hmm.
We've got a great relationship with Major League Baseball. It helps having so many Hall of Famers and legends as part of our ownership group. But met multiple times with Commissioner Manfred, with Chris Marinak, who's great at the league office there. So we got some cool things in store that we're going to do in the future. But again, we have to prove ourselves with this showcase.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think it's going to be pretty exciting.
All right, so last question, and you've kind of referenced it, and and some other answers, stuff like that. Because in the end, this is a big undertaking. To like you mentioned, the showcase is going to be huge. It's an uphill climb, but if you can get over that hill, and continue to and do this, what are like the long term? What are the short term plans? Is there like is the thinking okay? We're gonna maybe be on some level sort of like a feeder that we want to have some of our people that maybe are going under the radar by MLB scouts, and we find them and we say, hey, we started them here. They go to the MLB, or are there bigger goals? Is it hopefully if this like the PIF or some of these other investments come through, is the goal like, hey, there's a free agent in MLB, let's talk to him. Why not? Let's see if he wants to come play here and be the star of our league. Like what kind of like what's happening with the Saudi professional league, getting guys like Ronaldo and
Right.
Neymar, some of these big stars. What would you say, short term, long term? What are the key goals you have for Baseball United?
Well, man, first of all, I think everything's on the table, which is exciting. There's a lot of opportunity. But for us, our core vision is to be the number one international professional baseball league in the world.
Hmm.
Um, and that's giving the respect and the credence, obviously, to Major League Baseball, which is the gold standard. That's the crown jewel.
Yeah.
As you know, typical winter ball period is from November through February. And so when the Major League Baseball season isn't happening, we don't consider ourselves a winter ball league, but due to the weather and the climate out here where it's hot as hell in the spring and summer, we're pretty much going to be playing, during November to February.
Okay.
So what that creates is it creates us an opportunity to build what we believe can be the most dynamic and lucrative international league on the planet while still being complementary to Major League Baseball,
Hmm.
you know? And that's really the hope and the vision that we have. Now, to be the best international league, we've got a ton of work to do because Japan is killing it, as you know, with the MPB. KBO is doing a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, there's several great Latin American leagues in the DR, in the Mexican League, across the board down in Latin America. So we have our work cut out for us. But the environment here, the appeal of Dubai, Doha, Abu Dhabi, some of the sexiest, most innovative cities on the planet, the safety that you have here, the opportunity for players to earn more income than they would in some of these other places,
Hmm.
just really gives us a huge opportunity to be that Premier League that exists outside of the US. Our plan right now is next year is our first full season. We'll have 8 franchises playing a total of 65 games in the region,
Hmm.
November 1st to December 30th, across 3 cities, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Doha. And we already are in the works of getting all those things planned. As you know, we've already launched 4 of our franchises, our Mumbai franchise, our Karachi franchise, and our 2 UAE-based franchises. We got 4 more that we're going to announce after the showcase. So we've got a huge plan for our season one. That's the plan. Things could change if we inspire, the crown prince over there in Saudi, and he's like, no, here's some capital for you guys to come over here and play in Riyadh instead, man. We'll listen. We'll listen because the good thing is the more support we get, the more we can take care of our
Yeah.
players, the more we can take care of our fans, and that's what I get excited about. That's what our team gets excited about. The more we can invest into the community that are building these national teams, because there's 7, 8 national teams that play baseball in the region. For the first time, Pakistan is the highest ranking they ever had. They're 36 in the WBSC rankings.
Hmm.
The top 20 teams get to go play the World Baseball Classic. India just cracked the top 50. We've been working with them for the last 2 years.
Hmm.
If we can help teams through funding, but through coaching,
Hmm.
through curriculum management, through different training, equipment, if we can help those teams crack that top 20, man, and you see an India or a Pakistan or a Sri Lanka in the World Baseball Classic, that will be a step change for the
Yeah.
region. And then, as I'm sure you saw, they just announced baseball's coming back to the Olympics in 2028,
Hmm.
which is really right around the corner. I mean,
Yeah.
if we can hit one of the teams from this region in the Olympics, that's going to be a watershed moment for the
Yeah.
sport because you saw what happened with Mexico when they went on a run in
Yeah.
the World Baseball Classic, galvanized the country. Czech Republic being in the WBC really got that country on fire for baseball. Our vision is not just to grow our league with Baseball United, but also to get these national teams performing at an elite level so they can play in these big stages in Olympics, World Baseball Classic, because then you start to get more fans of the game all the way from adults to young kids who are watching at home.